On what?
On whatever you want to be on.
On, ready to go.
Well, let's see.
Dan, introduce yourself. Where are you from? How do we know you?
My name is Dan Rhodes from Police Department. I am been a police officer for 16 years. I've been a canine handler since 2012. That good?
Yeah.
All right.
Have you made any TV appearances?
I competed against Stan in America's Top Dog on episode 2, season 1.
And how'd you do on that episode?
I ended up winning the episode.
Okay. Pretty fancy. All right, now it's your turn, Mr. Butch. How do we know you?
I'm wanted in 4 states. I
Not Texas, right?
you probably, but except Texas. So that would be how you might know me. So I just never knew there was a Cuckoo, Florida.
Cuckoo?
Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
Say it again. Ray.
Cocoa.
Cocoa.
Chocolate.
Cocoa, Florida. So
I didn't say cuckoo.
so
You're about to find out in October.
so yeah. So Dan, like you said, he won the Top Dog episode 2. Man, seen his outstanding shepherd.
He's a good dog. He is a good dog.
He's a good dog. So he, I thought since he was kind enough to come over here and do a podcast when the truck was going by. I know, Harvest 75, you're always telling me about our sound background. It sucks. Someday we'll be able to afford like a room or a building. We're trying to rent something at the Y, see if they'll let us come in there.
I think that truck was extra loud though too.
You think he was?
Yeah.
So
It's solace recording.
I know that there's 2 things that a lot of people are interested in, and one surprises me. A lot of people are interested in police dogs and how they do, how you train and how many people you've mauled and that sort of thing. But this is the one thing that surprised me: the popularity of that Top Dog show. Because I'm not a big TV fan, and I don't watch a lot of cable. And Stan comes back from that show, and every person who comes in this kennel, where's Stanley? I just want to see Stanley. He's just so good on Top Dog.
Is it Stanley or Rocco?
Well, I was gonna say the only one who gets more fan mail is Rocco. So how hard was it? Stan has told us kind of his experiences. How hard was it for you to adjust from a working street dog format to a pure game competition?
It was actually more difficult than I thought. Our dogs are not. We train our dogs they adapt to their situation. We can't really go and train for, hey, this bad guy's going to do this, or we're going to go do this. Every time we make a plan to do something or execute it, it goes out the window. So for me, the coolest thing about it was how my dog, which he reacted and he rose to the occasion and basically made me look good. That's how I felt. I think a good dog, a good handler, it's all about the dogs. I think they'll do a good job.
So it wasn't hard to transition to that sort of thing. Obviously, it wasn't hard for you because you won it.
Yeah. Well,
you won your episode.
Yeah, we won the episode, but so the drug detection portion was the easiest. That's what we do every day. That's most of our job is doing the drug detection part.
Right.
So I think that's where we kind of had an upper hand over the civilian handlers.
I agree. Yeah.
Just because we do it all the time. So if you do something 90% of the time, it's going to be, you're just naturally going to be better at it. Not trying to sound cocky or anything.
No,
but
that's
just,
true.
You get at it. But the obstacles and everything like that, basically all I had to do was tell Bear what to do, to go over, go around, whatever he had to do. I just told him to do it, and he did it. It came kind of actually really easy to him.
Right.
The hardest part was, which I thought was going to be the rope ladder, because we never encounter anything like that.
Right.
But when he went over it, when he shot over it, it was actually kind of surprising to me that I told him to do it, and it kind of it's neat that the dog trusts you, that, hey, I'm telling you to do this, so they follow you, and they trust that you're not going to get them hurt or injure them. So that's pretty cool part about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the biggest, and you know this better than me. When they're training narcotics dogs and such, and they're always telling the officer, trust your dog, trust your dog.
Yep.
And you just mentioned the other side of the coin. You know, the dog's got to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is funny, because we talked, Stan, about the Top Dog show, or what we call lifestyle training, my form of training, just the other day on the last one or two podcasts ago. And I mean, you understand, especially on an obstacle course, smoking. You smoked everybody and everything, but it's the same thing. You know, me and my dog, we trust each other, and we ask him to do it, and he does it.
Yep.
So I'm tickled that you won with that style of training, rather than the pattern cookie cutter, do this 100 times.
The way I do it is I just don't work with my dog. He comes home with me. He lives with me, so he's part of my family. So I'm with him actually more than I'm with my wife and kids. So realistically,
and his wife is happy.
I'm with him all the time. So if he doesn't trust me, or we have an issue, you know, we can't have those issues. It's to be a good team.
Right.
You know.
You know, I hadn't thought of it like that. That's because you are a team on the street, and you do have to be close.
Yeah, my life depends on him, and so does other
right.
officers, civilians.
Right.
His life depends on me, so I don't send him into a bad situation. So it's kind of it truly is a team.
You know, I wish more people could. I hope a lot of people watch this particular podcast, because that's, you know, so much of what a dog is what you just said, trusting each other.
Yep.
And it's amazing what they'll do for the person they trust. So you know, we're proud of that. But now Dan came down. He's getting one of our Western Shepherd pups.
Yep.
So, and we're going to get to the Maulins here in a little bit. I promise you. I promise. But he'll be taking one of the pups, one of a black Bart baby. And
yep.
They're going to do what people don't realize is most departments in this country buy their dogs trained from Europe. Despite what I know, what the German Shepherd breeder told you when you were buying your puppy, all his father and mother were both police dogs, and they found 742 pounds of dope and 3 truckloads of bombs and explosives. No. Am I correct? Most police dogs are imported?
Yeah, most police dogs are imported. Yeah.
So, Dan, because he and Stan met together at the Top Dog show, they got talking dogs, and Stan learned to do that after he got past 18 in puberty.
Damn, you had puberty at 18?
Yeah. Started late.
It started late. So we, he told Dan about the Western Shepherds, and their department, because of Dan's inspiration, I'm sure, they're going to do something that I don't think has been done by a police department in this country. And I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm saying I'm not aware of it. If it has, probably has been. So tell them what you're going to do with this pup, man.
He's 9 weeks old now.
Okay.
So at 9 weeks, I'm going to take him, and hopefully, since Bear is such a good dog, I'm going to use Bear.
That's his dog, by the way.
Yeah, Bear's my dog, my working dog that I have now, who is a German Shepherd. But with a lot of the hip issues, a lot of the skin issues that the German Shepherds are having, I want a dog that's going to be a working dog. So if I can use Bear, who is a really good dog, to help train my guy, the new one, who's, by the way, his name's Maverick, we can train him, use Bear to help train him and kind of guide him, kind of like a big brother would. And then also, I can assist the agencies and have a good, strong working dog that if I get put in a situation, the dog's going to have the confidence and the temperament to deal with it.
So what the unique part of what Dan's doing, the thing I've never heard of another police department doing, and I wish more would, is instead of buying a dog 70-80% trained, he's going to get a puppy, and for all you accountants and departments, he's going to be way cheaper than buying a
Yes.
so-called trained dog, right, Dan?
Yes.
And then Dan's going to train this pup as he's going up. He should hit the streets at a cost of, it's going to be a third or fourth of what a trained adult dog would be. He's also going to be truly
Yep.
Dan's best buddy,
Yep.
partner. So that's the unique part.
That's going to be the neat part, because when you get them from overseas, or you get them from another breeder at a year and a half, 2 years old, you don't know what that dog's strengths or weaknesses are. You have to learn those pretty much on the fly, and you don't know what his if he's afraid of anything. And in a situation when you put that dog, if you learn right then and there that there's a bad guy with a gun, or a bad guy that's about to do something bad, you don't want to learn that those bad mistakes or those bad habits are there. That's the wrong time to learn it in real world. So I'm gonna be able to tell what he does, and I'll be able to work on his strengths, work on his weaknesses, and hopefully have a really good working dog.
Right. And of course, when the dog begins making arrests, finding illicit materials and things of that nature, Dan, because he's a Western Shepherd that we bred, on the contract, he has agreed to the contract. When he does do something spectacular, he will buy 35 minutes of airtime at the local television station. 2 hours of radio advertising.
2 hours of radio.
Yeah. So other than that, hell, how many people you mauling this week there, Dan?
How many this week? No. I can tell you, working canine is alleviated way more potentially dangerous situations than it ever has created them. So I'd say 99% of the bad guys that I go to arrest with a dog, I could have my gun out, I could have my taser out, any of those tools that we use to arrest people, and nobody thinks twice about them. But once you bring a dog into the situation, the mindset changes. I think the bad guy totally goes to a prey, like feeling like a rabbit, and they want to give up as quick as they can. Bears had one real street bite on a bad guy, I'll call it. Majority of them relieves the officers from getting in a fight, so it saves departments injuries, so it saves their workman's comp, it saves citizens, it saves suspects, it saves numerous injuries when you use a dog. So,
I never thought about all that side of it.
Yeah, it does.
Well, you always used to say dog's teeth don't bruise.
Yep. Knuckles bruise, dog's teeth don't.
Yep.
You're right. Yeah. That's experience from the old Texas Panhandle. So, if you can raise your own pup and have him as efficient as the dogs that are being imported, couldn't the department cut their costs?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely, by a lot. I think the average police dog is going between $8,000 and $12,000 right now, and that's just that's a green dog with just bite work. That's no out, no obedience, that's just with the drive that's needed. If you can get a puppy and build that drive as he's a baby,
for 2,000.
correct, for 2,000, 2,500, whatever you're going to spend, the amount of cost is the department's going to have to pay the officer anyway. So if you can train him on your off time or train him while you're at work anyway, it's going to alleviate that cost later. So it's also going to save transition time with a new dog to a new handler.
Oh, good, that's right.
So that's 6 months of a dog that is, you got to ride around with him, build relationship with this dog. These guys don't just take these dogs out of the kennels and go work them. You have to build some sort of, relationship with the dog, because they're going to bite you. I mean, they don't know any better. So it cuts down on that. The schooling and everything will already be done, because we'll be doing it as we're working. We train every week anyway. So as we train the puppy along with the dogs that know the job, we can certify, and basically that's our school. We just log those training hours, and that's your canine school. I think a canine school is in Florida is 480 hours. You know, we can cut that down to that's training hours that we're getting anyway.
Right.
So
what's just one last question comes to mind. You said you're paying $8,000 to $12,000 for the phrase is a green dog. This is a dog who'll bite when you tell him to, but kind of do everything else, right?
Right.
So you're going to have to add, because the major function is drug detection. Is that accurate?
Both. Where we work in Cocoa is both. We do kind of 50-50.
Oh, okay.
So depending on what the actual drug detection part, we can start imprinting them now. I mean, as a puppy. So
but when you're getting in an $8,000 to $12,000 dog that bites, you still have to do the drug detection.
Yes.
So there's another expense
Yes.
on top of the original.
And that's 280 hours. Another 280 hours. So
280 police hours.
yes.
That ain't cheap hours.
No, not cheap hours.
Not cheap.
So that's the 8 to 12,000 now, and then pay the officer and the school to run the dogs.
And that costs more than paying the golden retriever to scoop poop.
Yes.
Okay, per hour. Love you, Carrie.
If I can add anything, Dan has a pretty interesting competition that they've been putting on for the last 2 years. You want to talk about that, Eddie?
Sure. We it's called the Space Coast Police Canine Competition, and we've been putting it on for the past 2 years in October. This year it's 10/10/2020. I know Stan competed last year. I hope you come out this year. It should be an awesome time. We do it at Cocoa High Stadium. I think last year we had about
17 dogs, I think it was.
Yeah, 17 dogs, but we had 4,000 people. We packed out the stadium.
There's a lot of people.
So it
We
was
have 18 dogs this year?
yeah, it was
Not me.
it was eye-opening, because when I'm down there judging and doing all the setting up and everything like that, I look up at the stands, I'm like, man, there's not many people here. But then I go back and I start doing some more setup, and then I look back and the stands are just full and packed, and they're standing room only. It's pretty awesome. So
it's kind of like the difference between, for dog trainers like you or for Stan, kind of like the difference. Stan went to the TV show, that's like Hollywood. But what you're doing is more like Broadway plays, right?
yeah, Broadway plays.
It's the bright lights.
Yeah.
The bright way, whatever you call it, Milky Way in New York.
All of our obstacles that we do are basically designed to be, one, safe for the dog, and two, to be real world, what you would encounter in a real world operation or in a real encounter. So it's not like we're going to have a 12-foot gap or something that's way up in the air or anything like that. It's going to be windows, doors, culverts, stuff like that your dogs, maybe a tight, small spaces, maybe some unsure surfaces, stuff like that the dog's going to have to encounter anyway.
Right.
So it can be a training experience also, not just a competition.
Great idea.
The competition just adds to it.
Right. There you go. Well, anyway, Dan flew in from Florida and his arms are really tired, so he's ready to. I'm not going to keep him. That's the oldest joke in the world, by the way, but I love it. I absolutely cannot.
It was when you were a kid, so I mean.
With the horse and buggy?
Okay, yeah. They didn't have airplanes back then, So I was amazed that a man could fly. So anyway, I want to thank Dan for coming out and joining us. I'm sure that he said some things that you weren't quite aware of in the police dog world and the television world. So thanks for coming up.
Awesome.
Keep us posted in the future.
I will. Thank you.
Like, share, subscribe.